Alright. So, I want y'all to bear with me. They're doing some construction outside. But, this kind of got me a little curious. This woman on Facebook was telling us that the city council is keeping it a secret, but they anticipate something worse than Katrina for Houston. They saying that 100,000 homes will be destroyed. Now, how the fuck do you know that 100,000 homes going to be destroyed before it happens? With 50 inches of rain. I mean, 50 inches of rain. Are you a psychic? You know 50 inches is coming? What I'm saying is that they are controlling this weather. Obviously, they are doing it. And they know that they're doing it. And they're not going to tell Houston, because Houston would evacuate. They don't want Houston to evacuate. They want these motherfuckers to be in trouble, just like Katrina. And then they're going to come in with those FEMA assistance services, which they're pushing out right now. They got this shit all over the internet talking about, if you're in a flood, why don't you call FEMA and get some assistance and all this bullshit. But we already know those are detention camps. So let's check out this shit about the man-made weather that they've been up to. This is Hoax Butter.
All their equipment to do this. They've been studying it for long periods of time. That report was from 2007.
Look at this shit.
Them showing seeding the clouds for hurricanes. Here's Hurricane Katrina with the chemtrails being sprayed above them, but it's not just based on the aerosol spraying. This is Operation HAMP with the government.
All right, so we know that they're saying that the chemtrails was poisonous, but clearly it's just for weather. It's altering the weather. It's putting shit in the clouds so they can send up signals that disrupt the weather and create reactions. But it's not technically going to poison the entire, like, I mean, the whole earth wouldn't be any good to the elite if everything was covered in aluminum and fucking poisonous. But clearly there's something to the chemtrails.
Hurricane aerosol microphysics program, folks. Here's all their meetings they're having. There were little secret meetings on hurricanes. This was back in 2010.
Look at this shit.
They've known about hurricanes, how to make them, how to slow them down. We haven't had any hurricanes for a while, and now all of a sudden, big whammo that's not going anywhere. Generally, when it reaches land, it dissipates, and this one's just gaining power. And it's gaining power because of all the operating systems on the land, the sea, and the air to keep it there. And this is what I'm going to be proving out here in this documentary, is how this is a weather terrorist activity. This is weather terrorism. This is weather wars. It's also climate collapse as well. But this is directed energy. Here, look at, see, they're using water surface air coolers to seed clouds. This is back in 2010. They've been doing this for decades, 50 years it says. They've been manipulating the weather, folks.
So what I can see here is that even though you don't want to be afraid of people that have power like this, because you shouldn't just be scared of anything. You shouldn't be scared of these motherfuckers just because they're doing it. They're doing this because they're scared of us. That's why they're doing it. They want to misplace 100,000 people, 100 million. They want to do this shit because they don't want to fucking fight us, because we'll kick their fucking asses. I'm not scared of these motherfuckers. I ain't scared of these cops. I ain't scared of these judges. I ain't scared of these motherfuckers. But they're scared of us. So don't be scared of these bitches, man. They're just a bunch of bitches hiding behind their little buttons.
What do you think they've been able to...
If this dude is a shield, he's pushing fear. So don't be afraid. But listen.
...develop. How good have they gotten at it? Well, I'm going to show here in the video not just wet surface air coolers when it comes on land, how they're increasing the rain potential, but also keeping the circular pattern, counter-cyclical, counterclockwise pattern going, but also how they're using it in the oceans with their SBX-1 platform, NextRad Doppler devices to steer the weather. Also the silver lining projects, the ships that are using ocean water salt, making water vapor machines to combine with the cloud condensation, nucleol, and the barium salt sprayed in the skies. But also a new one. Was sent a patent, a Google patent, from a gentleman in the comment section, or a lady, about, I think it's Truth Channel it was named. And really appreciate it because it brought home this new document about how hurricanes are being controlled from up above. High altitude planes and whatnot are manipulating
Was that a year?
The hurricanes as well. It's very, very well done, well known how to manipulate hurricanes at will. They've been studying this
Tsunamis.
for decades and decades and decades with the best and the brightest. But first I want to get around to all the weather going around the world. It's crazy time, folks. It's going to get crazier. Be prepared, but let's get into it, okay?
Don't be afraid, though.
As I've been reporting now for a few weeks, the weather's gone out of control everywhere. Here we had the Luciferian Europe heat wave back in August 4th. It was 117 degrees in Greece and Italy. It's out of control. And this is Siberia, captured the worst Siberian fires in 10,000 years, June 30th. Now what they're using these fires for, folks, and here's a map, let me expand this out.
Very interesting.
And this is Global Forest Watch. Look at the concentration down here in Africa, and look at the concentration of fires everywhere. What they're using the fires for is for the carbon to increase the weather manipulation, to create weather. And this is what Weather War 101 has been claiming. Look down in Africa. They're using the dust and the fires, the dust storms, in order to create weather. Now, whether you say it's a collapsed weather system or weather terrorism, it's both. They can do what they want, but they've lost control. I think it's a combination of both.
Shit, this niggas ain't lost no control.
You can clearly see that it's not just Europe, it's a worldwide
They're just the man who sold the world. They never lost control of this shit. See all this fire and shit here? You think they give a damn if anybody's babies is burnt up in their cribs and shit? Hell no. Because they're scared.
Right now, real time, and it's going to get a lot worse, unfortunately.
They're going to do whatever they can.
Let's get into this more. And what I just noticed, which is also interesting, is here they're talking about this 10,000 year NASA image, 10,000 years, June 30th, 2017. And here, up in Siberia, they're not showing those fires. And they're naming the new weather patterns, weather clouds. The meteorologists are coming up with new names for everything that's going on in the world. This has been going on last week or a week and a half ago in Brazil and France. All of a sudden, the water rushed out like a tsunami was coming. This happened in Brazil and then
all of a sudden.
In France. And it's not being reported anywhere. But look at the boats. The water just suddenly rushed out.
Wow,
and it
that's
went
incredible.
away due to the counter-cyclical or counter-cyclones they're blaming it on now, as this guy reports here. Take a listen.
And this right now is going in France. This actually happened. Water
They've been doing this since the 1833, creating tsunamis.
In France.
Since 1800s with advanced technology. So what does that say about us?
That's what happened. So yeah, but the water, don't worry, the water is already coming back. That's what they're saying. We have video of it. We're going to show you. This is being sent by a very special subscriber. Now this is what I want to show you, folks. This is the coastline. This is Africa and Europe's coastline. We have two enormous, what they're calling, I believe, anti-cyclones. And these babies are responsible for the water being sucked away. Now this is now.
They can make the water suck away or come back if they want.
And the water, you can see the water's coming back.
Look at that.
Right?
The water comes back and goes away as they wheel it. Like a guide.
You know, in those fixed webcams, yes, somebody's moving the camera, right? So you can clearly see the water's coming back. But
that's just fucking nuts. But if you think that's something, man, check this shit out. If you haven't followed me on Facebook yet, check it out. Giant excavators with blades high as 4-story buildings chop down the giant silicone tree stumps to start our humble beginnings before the Wild West. So what year is this? Look at this fucking shit. These machines were made in the 1800s, in the 1700s, probably before that, to cut down silicone trees bigger than a goddamn... Look at those little people down there. This thing is bigger than football fields. And they wheel this shit out. Now, you gotta imagine, man. What kind of facility in the 1700s can wheel out a machine like this? So that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a super technologically advanced society who just evolved themselves while we stayed behind. And they just dumbed us down. They didn't tell us shit. They didn't give us shit. So in 2017, you got a smartphone. These motherfuckers probably teleporting and all kind of shit by now. That's what you're pretty much up against. But again, it's all out of fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. Clearly, we got waters above us. There's somebody watching over. There's something going on. Regardless, doesn't mean you should be lazy and sit on your ass and wait for somebody to save you neither. Because that's more teachings for them to trespass against you. But yeah, look at that big ass blade. These motherfucking blades are, that's the size of a 4-story building. So if you can cut down trees before Wild West history starts and shape it into rock and landslides and shit and quarries, then you're dealing with a technologically advanced society.
This is from one Pacific Redwood. I believe it's from the 25th, so when the storm was first, the storm was first coming on shore in Houston. And you can see the water generation vapor devices. If you look on the land, you see the burst, and there it is coming off of Cuba, and there it is coming on land and bursting. And there you see in New Orleans or Florida, you see the bursts of weather that are coming when they get on shore with these water vapor machines. There's offshore
look at that.
water vapor machines, as we'll get into as well.
It's like it just, they control it
out that as soon
out of
as
thin
it
air.
comes on shore, there wasn't that big a storm, and all of a sudden it got intensified, and then they're parking it now over Houston, over Corpus Christi, and it's going to remain there for days. So we'll have more of this. But here's your evidence, folks. You can see the generation devices. Look when it hits the land, boom, it just explodes. These are the water.
If you're in Houston, get out of there. Go somewhere safe.
Devices. Your wet surface air cooler.
They're going to flood that shit out.
You can see, as he's showing you, how this is being created. It comes in and it bursts. Now this is keeping the weather in a cyclical pattern. These are water vapor machines being used in the opposite direction to keep the storm in place. Instead of moving it, they're keeping it parked there for days. They announced they were going to do it. They own the weather. They control the weather. They're using the weather as a weapon. It is killing people.
Yep.
This is terrible. This is horrible. Now out here in California, we're having a heat wave. We just took a false dome off of us here in Northern California, and here you can see they are not allowing any type of weather patterns coming down from the north. They're being blocked as well from these ocean-based water vapor machines, which we'll get into in a little bit as well. But you can see California, we're experiencing, as I showed in yesterday's video, 175 degrees on the deck with ambient temperatures only in their low 90s. And they're reporting the temperatures in the low 90s when we're getting up to 100, 105. It's even hotter today, and it's supposed to get even hotter than that. So they're blocking the weather in California in order to keep the weather over Houston. And also, you'll be able to see here, over here in the right-hand corner.
I want to say something real quick. Don't be afraid of the heat. It just means that there's more electromagnetism in the air. You can absorb it. Once you become one with that shit, staring into the sun, you're like the sun, and it basically makes heat not bother you so much. If it gets hot, it doesn't make a difference. If you're not connected to the sun, then you are going to get sunburns, and you are going to be susceptible to these types of skin conditions. But you shouldn't be afraid of heat. It's really actually your birthright to absorb it. It's electromagnetism.
You see up in the Dakotas when they're blocking the weather up there to keep it contained from down above. So this is a massive, massive operation being done by the weather terrorists. They're using all the tricks of the trade, as we'll get into in a minute about how they're doing it. But here you can see he's pointing out up there in the Dakotas how the weather systems are just being created on land out of nowhere. But again, you see California is completely blocked. The whole West Coast is being completely blocked, and as soon as they did that, on Thursday, the weather temperatures here in California just absolutely started soaring, absolutely started going up. So let's get into a little bit more. And the first question people always ask, well, why are they focusing on Texas? What's it all about? Well, here's one explanation that you might think about. Many want to ask why the question, why South Texas, why now, on the 25th anniversary of the massive Hurricane Andrew that hit before. So this is from State of the Nation 2012, and they speculate that's because Texas has been at the forefront of anti-illegal immigration movement, and that Texas legislators passed some of the strongest laws in the nation, which attempt to limit massive influx of unlawful immigrants from Mexico. Texas has been ground zero for the war on drugs practically forever. This is the mafia controlling the borders down there, along with the royal families and the Vatican. Maybe they're not wanting the competition. Number 4, Texas is the second largest state in the union.
Very interesting.
Population after California. So California and Texas are seeing
very interesting political shit.
So that's what they came up with.
Money. No competition for the corporation. And see, that's why I try to tell people, man, this shit is all about money. And money and power and control. And
political agendas.
They run a bunch of fear,
no way and no doubt
fear campaigns on us.
Weather terrorism. These are weather weapons that are being used to murder and kill people.
By elite bankers who got control of shit.
It's happening all around the world. They can do it at will.
It's all about the money.
Every time they got to do it bigger because they can, for one, and two, the weather has collapsed. And yes, they're using it as a weapon as well. So yes, the weather has collapsed, and yes, weather has been weaponized. It's not either or, it's both.
Damn. Motherfucker dropping mad
So how are they doing this? Weather War 101 shows that they're using chemtrails, they're using wet surface air coolers, NEXRAD, and Doppler devices to steer the weather, and showing here with cooling plants with towers for water vaporation creation of nuclear towers, and nuke towers that don't have it.
Oh,
here's how we're going to get into it. I'll show you how they pass the weather from one system, one water vapor tower to another, and you can see how here it forms and gains power from one plant to another. So they release the water vaporization into the air using these massive amounts of water to create water vapor generation and shoot it up into the air. These are all across the country. And then what they do is they take from one station to the other, and they use the Doppler NEXRAD radar system, radio frequencies, to generate the power to interact with the aluminum to pass them from one station down to the next station. Here you can see the generation. I believe this is in Texas going on here. And this is how they make weather. They have to use the barium salts with the chemtrail spraying, the aluminum is to direct the storms, and the water.
So there is aluminum, but how is that? You can't mass dump aluminum on plant life and animals without a chemical reaction.
Also how they're keeping Hurricane Horrible Harvey in place. They're keeping it set there. So I wanted to show you that this is how the water vaporation is created, but it also can be used to keep the.
It's got to be some kind of. It's got to be some kind of biodegradable aluminum base. Otherwise, you just destroy your own. You destroy your own environment that you live in. I mean, come on. Ain't nobody's stupid.
It's coming up to the sky to connect with the cloud condensation, nuclear and barium salts, but it's generated from the ground.
It's just foolish. It's like you have no place to live either. Like your shit's fucked up too. What's the point?
So let's get it going. What's going on with Harvey today? It is Saturday, August 27th, and here you see the eye of the storm parked right on the coast. Also look at New Orleans.
This dude is not a shield. I stand corrected on the aluminum.
They had 20
and I'm not afraid to do that.
Last week, the pumps all failed but one.
But one thing's for sure.
People are getting flooded out. They're just an afterthought, but they're getting pummeled as well.
One thing's for damn sure is that aluminum is a cancerous thing.
Notice the circle pattern, folks. And here's
if we all don't have cancer right now, like literally.
Surface air coolers, and they can make weather or they can steer weather either way. So here they got the weather they generated as we showed in the previous video. And here you see it, it's counter-cyclical, counterclockwise.
Give me a break. Aluminum all over the whole sky. Shit would fucking destroy plant life and everything. Shit would be completely out of balance.
Water vapor machines and also the NEXRAD Doppler systems. Those are the NEXRAD Doppler steering.
I could believe barium salts and water vapor machines, but aluminum, that's a bit much. Aluminum is highly toxic and poisonous. I mean, the whole fucking earth would be completely poisoned with aluminum. Just to control the weather. I don't think you want to just destroy everything that you have. Straight up. Like, really? That's where I got to draw the line. Because some of these people, man, are shills. They just pushing fear campaigns. You know, there's a lot of them, you know. They want you to be scared because they're paid to keep us away from them. Because they're going to get their asses kicked. That's what it's about. They want to keep control. They want to keep the money. Power over the sureties, which is the straw man slaves. That's what this shit's really all about. Boils down to control. But there's no reason to be afraid. If y'all want to check out this video, Hurricane Harvey and the Weather Terrorists, feel free to check it out. If you want to know if this dude's a shill or not, check back in a week and see if he's got 1 million views or not and 100 million followers. Because that's how you could tell. They just blow up. They blowing up left and right. But the true truthers, they get banned. They get banned, they get blocked, their videos get taken down, and they get harassed. That's what they get. So just keep your eyes open and stay awake.